Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. We continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Jawah al-Qur'an, the Jews of the Quran and Spheres. We have made strides, inshallah, in reading Surah Al-Isra. We have reached now verse 34, and the theme is orphans, the rights of orphans, and particularly it's about their property, it's about their money. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا تقربوا مال اليتيم إلا بالتي هي أحسن ولا تقربوا مال اليتيم إلا بالتي هي أحسن حتى يبلغ أشده وأوفوا بالعهد إن العهد كان مسؤولا. Do not come near the wealth of the orphan unless intending to enhance it until they attain maturity. Honor your pledges. Covenant, for you will surely be accountable for them. Islam took care of those who are at a disadvantage, those who are weak, those who cannot protect themselves, and it's inevitable that some people would leave behind orphans, especially when people get killed, and we can see how women and children get killed really more than men sometimes, but sometimes in a classical war, and it seems that classical wars are not there. And we see that targeting civilians is deliberate. But at any rate, there were orphans. The Prophet ﷺ was raised as an orphan, and obviously he cared for them, and he made sure that we understand how important taking care of the orphans in particular, and not only their property, but even their psychology, and touching the head, like wiping on the head of an orphan, is commendable, and it should be seen as a package, taking care of their needs. And I think there is a need for a different reading of the verses at the beginning of Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4 in the Qur'an, because it does promote pretty much like the verse here, protecting their property, their wealth. The use of the word covenant is also used in Surah Al-Baqarah, in the covenant that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had with the children of Israel, that they worship none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being good to the parents, being good to the relatives, but also to the orphans, wal-yatama, and the needy, and saying that which is beautiful to people, establishing, praying, performing zakah, but few of them heeded and fulfilled the covenant. And in Surah Al-Duha, فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ, of course, here it's we can use it. We can use this فلا تقهر, overpowering, and of course they are definitely at a disadvantage. One should don't humiliate the orphan. Don't say. I mean, be a little bit even more sensitive. Be kind. Be lenient. Be like a merciful father to them, because this is exactly what they need. One of the ways of taking care of orphans is also not to adopt them the way it is prohibited to give them a different name, changing their names, they should be named after their father. You can take care of them, and this is highly commendable. And the Prophet ﷺ in one hadith, he said that he and the person who takes care of the orphan will be with him in paradise. And he made a sign with two of his fingers, meaning that the person who takes care of orphans will be very close, like immediately in the company of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there is amongst the grave sins, السبع الموبقات, these seven grave sins. Of course, the first one would be associating shirk, associating anything or anyone with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, magic, killing the innocent soul, usury, and then it says consuming unlawfully the wealth of orphans, and running away from facing the enemy, and accusing the chaste woman, of course, accusing them with adultery. This is in one hadith. Regarding the wealth, the Prophet ﷺ wanted the caretakers, legal guardians, if you will, to grow the wealth of the orphans. They cannot do that, and they are young. And this is very important. So one should, in more than one source, to whether by trading, all that which should be in the realm of that which is halal. And even Umar al-Khattab followed the same sunnah, and here it's directly, of course, almost identical notion about trading to grow the wealth of the orphans. Yes, even the Prophet ﷺ said that the best house amongst the houses of Muslims is a house where there is an orphan being taken care of. And the worst is the opposite. The worst is a house amongst the Muslims is a house where there's an orphan who is mistreated. being generous, being good to orphans. There's orphanages are commendable, but probably they are not the best organization to take care of the orphans. If the alternative is not possible, the alternative, I know that there's an organization that takes care of orphans by keeping them at home, meaning they will be raised in their original surroundings. So you just provide for them. They don't have to be in a building with other orphans. If you have to, these there's a method, probably I don't know how widespread it is, but we mention it here. The orphanage is divided into kind of families. So a small group of orphans would be raised together in an apartment, and the caretaker would. So there's like that sense of family. So it's not like a massive dorm with. So they try to make it as close to the idea of a family as possible. So do not come near the wealth of the orphan unless intending to enhance it until they attain maturity. Honor your pledges, for you will surely be accountable for them. In Surah An-Nisa, it says that don't entrust the orphans when they are still children or at the beginning of adolescence. You should provide for them whatever is necessary. That's the meaning of the verses. Once they reach maturity, and you are sure of, we don't talk about physical maturity only, but also intellectual maturity, then you would give them their wealth when they reach the age of marriage, in a sense. The next verse 35, goes into the realm of ways and balances, as sometimes we call it nowadays. وأوفوا الكيل إذا كلتم وزنوا بالقسطاس المستقيم ذلك خير وأحسن تأويلا. Given full when you measure, and weigh with an even balance, that is fairest and best in the end. Yes. In the area of trade, the minimum is to give exactly what you should. And I know that some people, out of fear of not really reaching balance, reaching full measure, they will add a little bit, whether in weight or measurement, length, like in when they sell fabric, they just add a little bit for fear of not giving the what they should. That's really what should be the case. Never to never underweight, never cheat. But of course, we know very well today that that's not the only thing. That's a major thing. The notion of halal and wholesome. The notion of halal and wholesome. What is halal? If it's food, then there are certain meats that Muslims should not consume. The area of haram is usually limited. It should be slaughtered, of course, according to the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But that's not all. That's not all. The animal should not be mistreated. We know very well that calves are kept almost imprisoned in a sense so that they will not develop muscles. They would like their meat to remain soft, so that they're kept in the same place. Ultimately, they probably even would collapse under their own weight while they are very young. The only thing that they can do is simply keep eating. So these are not healthy conditions. Same thing about chicken. So the area of halal and wholesome should include the a healthy, good treatment. The Prophet ﷺ cared about the psychology of animals. Check the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Like when a mother bird came before the Prophet ﷺ, and he asked his companions who distressed this mother bird with her chicks, and the companions admitted to taking her chicks, and the Prophet ﷺ ordered them to put the chicks back, and the mother bird was not seen again. Listen to the word distressed, faja in Arabic. The mother bird knew the address. The Prophet ﷺ understood her distress, and the companions complied. So the psychology of animals is is also very important. When they, this is not a lecture on health, nutrition, and what have you, but why consume processed meats and some preservatives are cancerous. So when you see that the cold cuts are red, and in a way that's probably the sodium nitrate. That's so wholesome. So halal might have a different connotations. That which is absolutely necessary, both are necessary, but that which first comes to mind, and the conditions for halal might be a little bit more, of course, they are than what comes to mind. It's not only slaughtering. There's a problem also when halal becomes an industry, like the very word halal becomes an industry, and then some Muslim minorities, I'm not going to name, but there's a Muslim minority that almost mimics the kosher industry. That if you are a Muslim business, then you need to have this stamp, and it goes into areas where definitely it's originally halal. It doesn't need that word, like water, for example. You need governments to check if everything is okay. But again, the type of plastic where you are the bottled water, and you know very well today that microplastic made it to our brains and elsewhere. Fair trade is also part of the picture. When you buy, there are different agricultural products, and of course industries where laborers are mistreated, or sometimes it is child labor. and sometimes it's just simply the original source. They get really peanuts for what they produce. Sweatshops, whether it's Southeast Asia, Muslim and non-Muslim countries, make sure that people are not mistreated. Children going to the fields in the not early hours of the day. Literally, it is night. It should not be the case. Fair trade is also part of the picture. Then verse 36: Do not follow what you have no sure knowledge of. Indeed, all will be called to account for their hearing, sight, and intellect. ولا تقف ما ليس لك به علم إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد كل أولئك كان عنه مسؤولا. Of course, one can remember about the previous verse 35 about the weights and balances, the measurements. Also, I just remember the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He who cheats us is not from amongst us. من غشنا فليس منا. One day the Prophet ﷺ saw a sack of wheat, and when he inserted his hand into the wheat, it was wet, the lower level. So there is like dry wheat above and there's wet wheat below. Do not cheat. And this might also mean today cheating by changing the expiration date. That will be very, very problematic. So ولا تقف ما ليس لك به علم إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد كل أولئك كان عنه مسؤولا. Do not follow what you have no sure knowledge of. Indeed, all will be called to account for their hearing, sight, and intellect. Do not say what. First of all, do not create news, in the sense of do not fabricate news. Fake news, of course. Fake news, there are those who change the narrative. They create a specific narrative to, in our case, it does demonize Muslims, Arabs, Palestinians. Somewhere else, there is such a thing. We are not the only ones at the receiving end of negative, of course, fake news. But this here, it calls on us not to create such fake news, not to do not use the narrative. Do not say I saw, like the story of the 40 children who were burnt in ovens, and I think President Biden stating that he saw, he did not see, of course, because it did not exist. So do not say I saw. Do not say I when you really did not see. Do not say I heard and you did not hear. Do not say I know, and while you really did not know. It in the language of the of narrating, the hadith, there are very accurate ways of narrating the hadith. You just don't add you cannot say I heard someone when you did not, when it was reported. I think it's the accuracy there is remarkable, really. Let me just give an example. For example, in Sahih al-Bukhari, the chain of narrators. So Imam al-Bukhari said, حدثنا الحميدي عبد الله بن الزبير حدثنا. He spoke to us. He said to us. He said, حدثنا سفيان. He said, Sufyan spoke to us. He said, يحيى بن سعيد الأنصاري حدثنا يحيى بن سعيد الأنصاري. Now there is a change. He said, أخبرني محمد بن إبراهيم التيمي. He informed me. And now third change. أنه سمع, that he heard علقمة بن وقاص الليثي. And there is a repetition of سمع. يقول سمعت عمر بن الخطاب على المنبر قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. This is the hadith of النيات. إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى فمن كانت هجرته إلى دنيا يصيبها وامرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. This is the hadith of the intentions, the first hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari. You just simply be very accurate how the hadith, how when people talk to you, don't add, don't reduce, don't be selective. Provide the full context, and don't feel pressured to provide false witnessing. Like sometimes I would say professors are asked to give recommendation letters. Just say what you know about the student, the strength, and if there are weaknesses, and this is the point, mention the weaknesses and how they could be addressed. And rest assured, this does not prevent universities from accepting, it could be work, like when people apply for work, when people ask for the hand of a woman, and they ask you about the character of the person who proposed. What you know, you should basically say, don't inflate his goodness nor omit any shortcomings. If whatever you know. I would like to share with you the following story, and we'll end with this session, inshallah. I remember one of my students at the International Islamic University asking me for a recommendation letter to a university in the UK, in Scotland, and I wrote to them, and definitely he was an excellent student. I simply told them that he needs, if they accept him, he needs some English courses. They did accept him. He got his PhD, and he became a professor in the same area. So alhamdulillah, it does not, when you say something, it does not prevent them, it does not really diminish their, if they are destined, or if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, they will inshallah be accepted. They will get the job, they will get married, or whatever is the case. Until the next session, inshallah. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.